Hello together, I am Sebastian. If you move to Switzerland, you first need a roof over your head. So far so simple. But how should I proceed? You will now find out everything you need to know. First, the question of where. Where could I live? If you want to live in the big Swiss cities or their agglomerations, the apartment search is demanding and the apartment is expensive. More about this later. The further away you are from the centers, the easier it is to find an apartment. If you work in a city but live far away from it, you will save some money on rent, but spend more time in traffic. You save money and spend time. You decide what is more important to you. The Swiss public transport network is modern, clean, and punctual. Trains and buses take you quickly almost everywhere. I suggest that you check on Google Maps how long it takes you to get from your home to your job by public transport. Often the time is surprisingly short. So you can easily live relatively far from your place of work if you don't mind commuting every day, say 2 times 30 minutes. On which platforms can I find a rental apartment? The most popular platforms are homegate.ch, comparis.ch, imoscu24.ch, undflatfox.ch. I have added the links in the video description. On these sites you will find a huge offer, but often you are already the 20th applicant when you apply. Therefore comes now the most important. The only way to succeed is to apply for a lot of apartments and then eventually get lucky. Search several times a day for new offers and get in touch immediately. Remember that the landlord receives a lot of requests and you have to be in the front of the line. Finding the first apartment when moving to Switzerland is the most difficult. If you already live in Switzerland, it will be much easier for you to visit apartments and move if necessary. If you have to move quickly, be prepared to make small compromises, because you can move on later. Keep in mind that often up to 100 people apply for one apartment. There is only one winner and 99 losers. But how do you get on the podium? First of all, you have to be fast, as I just said. Create a reference letter that lists previous landlords or your employer with phone number, so that the landlord can inquire about your trustworthiness. This is common in Switzerland, landlords actually call. So inform your references in advance that they will be contacted and say good things about you. The landlords also require an extract from the debt collection register. This will be issued by your Swiss municipality in 1 to 2 days. If you move in from abroad, you have a problem, because you do not have a Swiss municipality of residence yet. If there are similar registers in your country of origin, then get such a document. If you cannot obtain an extract from the debt collection register, then guarantee declarations, for example from your parents or from acquaintances in Switzerland, that they are responsible for the rent if you do not pay, will help. Here all means are permissible, so that your landlord trusts you and chooses you. Often landlords also want to know what you earn. An impertinence, isn't it? Not quite. You know that you should not spend more than 30% of your net income on the apartment. In Zurich, a 1.5-room apartment costs 2,200 francs. So you should earn at least 6,600 francs net, so that you can afford it at all. The landlord's demand is understandable. He wants to see if you don't overextend yourself and then can't pay. In Switzerland, a personal inspection of the apartment is obligatory before renting it. Most landlords insist on this. Very few are willing to show you the apartment via video call and then accept that as a viewing. Since there are so many applicants for apartments in urban locations, you cannot choose the viewing date, which is determined by the landlord. Often, numerous interested parties look at the apartment at the same time. Realistically, you have to spend a few days at your destination and visit as many apartments as possible every day. In principle, tenants in Switzerland can only give notice to move out of an apartment at the end of a quarter. Therefore, most apartment changes take place at the end of each quarter. If a tenant wants to move out outside these 4 annual moving dates, he is obliged to propose a new tenant, i.e., you, to the landlord. If you want to move in outside the quarter ends, you are usually only in contact with the current tenant, who collects your data and forwards it to the owner. The owner then decides whether to accept you as a tenant. The disadvantage of this is that you have no chance to make a good impression on the landlord during the visit, because you don't meet him. Be aware of this. If you win the bid, you need to sign the lease quickly. Congratulations! Now comes the deposit, be prepared for it. In Switzerland, it is common that the tenant has to pay a deposit of 3 months' rent. The deposit serves as security for the landlord in case you don't pay the rent or cause damage to the apartment. Now you have two options. If you have the money liquid, then you make a rent account at a bank. This is an account where you deposit the deposit for the rented apartment. The account is a blocked account in your name. The account is blocked for both parties until the lease ends. The landlord must return the deposit to the tenant within 30 days of the end of the tenancy. The landlord may use the deposit only if he files an appropriate application with the court. If you are not very liquid, you can, as an alternative, take out a rental deposit insurance. A big provider is swisscaution.ch. Below you will find the link. The insurance guarantees the landlord for the deposit. You have to pay an annual premium to the insurance company. Rent deposit insurance is usually more expensive than a rent deposit account. However, it can be a good option if you can't afford the deposit or if you don't want your money blocked for the duration of the lease. Here are some tips. Compare offers from different banks and insurance companies. Make sure that the deposit is interest-bearing. Read the terms and conditions carefully before you take out a rental deposit insurance. If I've helped you even a little bit, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Here you can learn everything about Switzerland. Ciao!